Boys, I just got a fax about the newest gaming consoles coming out.
A fax?
Yes, it's like a letter that gets sent right to your office. Amazing! It looks like Microsoft is cooking up something big. Their last smash hit took Japan by storm. It was the Xbox One! Not bad for their first try.
Most of that statement was wrong.
But this next one, they aren't opting for the bland Xbox 2. They're going straight to the Xbox 360.
What?
I know. How bold! Anything to keep up with Sony's creative console names.
Everything is wrong!
I want you boys to cover the new games for this next generation of consoles.
So you want us to play unreleased and unannounced games for the next-gen consoles?
You got it.
The next generation being the Xbox 360.
And its competition.
So the PS3.
That's just a code name.
That was on purpose!
This is gonna be the most extreme episode yet. Make me proud.
I mean, 15 years old is basically retro. Everybody wins.
Hello and welcome to the Retro Odyssey. I'm your host, Ryan, joined by hosts Matt and host Steven.
Hi.
Hello.
How y'all been doing this month with our corona?
It's been different. I can tell you that.
I work in the supermarket, just like Ryan, so you probably know exactly how it's been for me.
It's been a little ridiculous so far. Haven't gotten sick though, so I'm not gonna. I could complain about other things.
Yeah, I got the flu 2 weeks ago.
So, like, is that a win or like worse?
I don't even know, but like I currently work grocery and food delivery, so I'm just as crazy as you guys have been.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
So,
I got bills to pay, so.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. You say you work like grocery and food delivery. Are you like with one of those third-party companies that pairs up? Okay.
DoorDash and Instacart.
Was Walmart pairing with DoorDash?
I think Walmart works with Postmates.
Oh, maybe that's who it is.
Yeah, I use Instacart, and I get sent to Publix or Food Lion or the local chain. DoorDash is almost exclusively restaurants, I think. Well, I think you can get convenience stores too.
So, like in my store, management's always like, "You guys are on the front line, but you're like the Oracle."
Yeah.
Well, I know we've had a bit more downtime. At least you've been sick or fewer hours. Who's been playing what?
I've spent most of my month on one of the games in particular in this episode that we're going to be talking about. I've barely even gone into Binding of Isaac this month.
Oh, wow.
I've still been playing Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, I was going to say that new Final Fantasy XIV patch came out, didn't it?
It did, yeah. There wasn't like a huge amount of content in it. I mean, we've got it's kind of like, it's not a major patch, it's kind of like a half patch, 0.1 or 0.5 or whatever it is. But yeah, there's a few bits in there that I've been checking out.
Okay.
Neat.
So I jumped back into Smash, picked up the rest of the DLC characters, and I gotta say, Byleth is exactly the kind of Fire Emblem character I wanted, because she uses...
Really?
Well, she uses more weapons than just the sword.
It is true.
She uses axes and staffs and lances. Like, that's exactly what I wanted from a Fire Emblem character.
Well, and Byleth is really weird too because she hits like a heavy and has like attack speeds like a heavy, but she's not.
And the range on that spear is amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like, and it's a side special. What it's the side B and also her
Smash
forward
attack.
smash. So
Yeah.
lots and lots of coverage. That down B shatters shields and
Yeah.
sometimes has super armor. I don't know when the super armor activates on it, but sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. And it's really funny when somebody runs into tank and you just tank a hit and obliterate them.
So after spending some time with Byleth, my conclusion is Ho's mad.
Yeah. The only problem I actually have with Byleth is more specifically the female version of the skin. While it is the better version, because I don't even know what's going on with the dude version, he just looks bland.
Mm-hmm.
She is I think she talks more than any other character in the game. And it's just like every little thing, and it wears on the ears after, an hour. And that's literally the only problem. Everything else, I really do like the character. And I was going in there going, like, I'm mad that they put in a Fire Emblem character, and I'm not going to like this. I'm like, oh, well, now I'm sinking time into it. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, Terry obviously was a great character. I thought that one was done fantastically. I have no experience with his games, but he's a well-made character.
He is, and his stage is really cool too because it's so simple, but it works so well.
Yeah. So so I've been playing more Smash. I finally had to step away from Binding of Isaac because it was it was getting a bit much. I did unlock a character, but other than that, it's like I'm not doing anything here. And I've been kind of trawling through Game Pass, picking things up. I tried out Sea of Thieves. I tried out Wonder Song, which I'm probably going to finish. And then I, started Xenoblade Chronicles X last night, and that's a fun time. I really like it.
Well, if you ever want to pirate on Sea of Thieves, I'm down.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need to go in, with some people I know at first. Mm-hmm. So,
if anything, just to kind of help defend when someone gets aggro on you for no reason.
Yeah, or figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. You hit me up later for that.
Yeah.
Personally, I've been playing Doom. That dominated about 2 weeks of this month.
Now, are we talking Doom Eternal or?
Well, to warm up for Doom Eternal, I went and played through Doom again.
Okay. Is this Doom or Doom 2016?
Doom 2016.
Okay.
I went and played through Doom 2016 again, and it's still great. I did determine that it feels more like Quake than Doom, but that's not a bad thing because it has all the aesthetics of Doom.
I've heard, like in the past week, I've heard both Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal referred to as basically Quake.
Well, it has more to do with the platforming and verticality of the stages because Doom's very flat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not very intricate, whereas Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are very vertical and very intricate level design.
Right.
And that's fine, but it's something that's not present in any other Doom games, really.
Well, and here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is maybe that's just what Doom is now.
Well, yeah, no, and that's what I'm getting down with is because Quake was just sort of Doom extra, at least in spirit. It would have been a pretty reasonable for them to make we've made Quake, we made Doom 2, and now we're making Quake, and instead of going Quake was supposed to be a completely different game, and they could have just gone, we have some of this going on, it's not working, we're going to make a shooter, we're going to basically quickly reskin these levels, and we're going to make Doom 3. That would have been a completely reasonable thing to do.
Right.
But they didn't. And so we got Quake as a series. And Doom 2016 is very much a Quake experience, a lot of small quarters that open up into big arenas.
Mm-hmm.
and then you move down the next corridor into the next arena, and that's Doom 2016. There's
Right.
so little corridor fighting. And Doom Eternal starts off with a lot more corridor fighting and like tight room combat, which feels very much Doom 2. And then later on, it gets bigger and bigger arenas and kind of brings you back to the Doom 2016 experience, except it's completely different. But I spent about 2 weeks playing Doom and Doom Eternal, and I loved it.
Nice.
Totally worth full price.
It's something that I will be picking up at some point, but I've kind of got like too much on my plate at the minute.
Fair enough.
And I want to give full time to Resident Evil 3 when that comes out, so I'm probably going to wait for a sale for Doom Eternal.
Just clear your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in a position to buy games right now, so
Right. Well, I'm sure we'll be getting a summer sale here soon enough, I'm sure. At least on Steam, and no doubt Doom Eternal, while it's still new, it might go down to $40.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They don't do those sales on physical copies.
They don't. I did buy mine digitally.
When it comes to Xbox, at least, I can't afford to buy digitally because I do not have the storage space.
Yeah, fair enough. Again, especially, like, I have a terabyte on mine.
Yeah, I only have 500 gigs, which is actually like 370.
Yeah, I a while back I had to go and clean up my hard drive because there's a lot of stuff on there, and there was, quote, a lot of stuff, end quote. There wasn't even that much stuff on there, and I was still almost maxed out.
Well, I mean, like mine, I'm losing, 100 gigs to Halo alone.
Oh, I mean, it was the same thing. I downloaded Gears 3. What was it? Gears 4. It was Gears 4.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded on there. And it's like 112 gigs.
Yeah.
So I uninstalled that because I wasn't even playing it. Not that it was a bad game, it's just I wasn't playing it. But that's what I've been doing. I've been mostly playing Doom.
Not a bad choice of game. So.
Nope, I'm a better man for it. But now that we've covered that, I think we could boogie on over to the news. There's been quite a bit of news.
We both said a lot of things that you're going to regret. But I think we can put our differences behind us. For science. You monster.
All right, Matt, what kind of headlines you got for us this month?
The first one, which kind of tied to current world events, is unfortunate, but the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, or the PC Engine Mini, has been delayed. We don't yet know when it's going to come. They haven't given a new release date yet, but it is currently on hold, which is a shame, but we'll get it eventually, I'm sure.
The Atari VCS has been delayed again for the same reason.
Yeah, but I think Atari VCS probably takes any excuse to announce another delay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more games on it than other mini consoles that have come out, and it's games that I've never really played because I've never had one of the systems. So when it does come out, I am really looking forward to having like a deep dive into that.
What's it retailing for? $100?
I'm not sure how it is in America, but in the UK, it's an Amazon exclusive.
Here.
It is £100 on Amazon UK.
It's going to be $100, so we're actually getting it cheaper than you.
A lot of companies do kind of like that one-to-one conversion, and it's like that's
not how it works.
Yeah.
That's not how any of this works.
But yeah, hopefully that'll come soon. I mean, with it being Amazon don't charge until they ship anyway, so I've not had the money come out yet.
I might pick one of those up. I've never had a TurboGrafx either, so.
No, I mean it's ugly as shit.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean it is not a good looking console.
No, the controllers are ugly too.
Yeah, but it has like a decent games list, so
should be a fun time.
Something which again is getting a physical release that we don't know when is Streets of Rage 4, which is getting a physical release from Limited Run Games, which, and I don't personally really like Limited Run Games business model. It's kind of like a forced scarcity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple games from Limited Run and for my Switch, and they're great, but it is very one of those, like, you got to get it or you don't get it at all.
And then you pay in like huge amounts on the aftermarket.
Their packaging, like everything together is nice, though, I will admit. Like, they do a good job.
Yeah, and I am looking forward to Streets of Rage 4, but I will just get it digitally. Next on the news list, we've got a Shadow Man remaster coming. I have the original, but I've never actually played it. I've actually heard very mixed reviews. People either love it or they hate it. Have either of you actually played the original?
I've never heard of it.
I'm looking at it right now. This looks familiar. I don't know if I've played it. I might have seen someone play it.
That, again, does not have a release date as of yet, but that is coming soon. And last on the news list, we got demos for 2 upcoming releases, Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy 7. I've played both of them. How about you guys?
Oh, I totally forgot that the demo came out for the Final Fantasy VII. I should download that.
Yeah, I haven't played either of them because I have no intention of purchasing either of them this year. So
Don't want to get yourself all hyped up for something that you can't get yet.
yeah, I mean that's I also I've got other things to buy this year, like I don't know, a new Xbox.
just kind of wait, just buy Final Fantasy VII. Sorry, honey, we have to sell the car.
Yeah,
But yeah, I have played both of those demos. Final Fantasy 7, it was okay. I mean, I prefer the battle system of the original. I like that whole turn-based thing. I really like turn-based battles in RPGs. This one was very much like an active time battle, and it just didn't really do it for me. I actually struggled. I played it on like the easier setting, and I did struggle. It was difficult to kind of like understand what was going on a lot of the time. There's all these different spells and attacks that you can use, and the enemy attacks I found really hard to dodge as well. You can dodge them, and you'll have like a much easier time in combat if you can do that. But I just couldn't, and I ended up struggling with it. I would just stick to the original personally.
I plan on getting the remake eventually. It's just it is not priority for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I played the Resident Evil 3 demo as well. That fared a lot better. If you played Resident Evil 2, the remake, then you kind of know what you're getting in for. It's using exactly the same engine, same kind of control style. It's decent. I played it on PS4 first, and I struggled because I can't aim for shit with a controller. But I then went onto the PC version, played it there, and that was like a lot better. I wanted to play both because I didn't know which system I wanted to get it on. But I'll be getting it on PC. I've mentioned this before, but I don't like Jill's redesign. She has very distinct features in the games that came before this, from the Resident Evil 1 remake onwards. When you saw her in Resident Evil 1, when you saw her in Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil Revelations, you can tell that it's the same character because she's got a very unique look, and that has just been completely scrapped. She just looks like a completely different character.
Weird.
I don't know why they did that, but they did the same thing with Chris in Resident Evil 7 as well. He didn't look like anything like he had previously. But that's not going to affect the game. It was similar kind of gameplay. Basically got to get through this alleyway that's on fire, and you've got to go around, try and find like a fire hose, and loads of zombies about, and Nemesis starts chasing you at some point. Yeah, it's decent enough, and I'm looking forward to playing that when it comes out.
So, do we think the third person style that they started with the Resident Evil 2 remake, is that kind of where they're going to go with the series going forward?
I mean, it is using the same engine that they did Resident Evil 7, which was a first-person game. So with that engine, they can kind of go both ways.
Right.
I guess probably it would kind of depend on the game. I mean, the reason that they're probably doing 2 and 3 in this particular way is because the originals were third-person. Even though it's pre-rendered backgrounds in the originals, and this is a 3D world. It did still have that like third-person aesthetic, so that might be why they've gone with that. But they have shown that this engine can do first-person perfectly fine. So
Right.
maybe they're just going to switch it up with each game, basically decide what's best for that particular game.
Yeah, that would work.
But anyway, that is all the news topics that I have.
We just had a mini Nintendo Direct, I think they called it.
Yeah, it was like a 28-minute broadcast.
Yeah, we just had a mini Direct, so...
Yeah, so I'm just gonna run down the list here. I don't know if this is in the order it was announced, but I'm just gonna run down the list here. So they revealed that the next DLC fighter for Super Smash Bros. Will be from ARMS. They didn't reveal which character. They just said it's going to be from ARMS, and they'll be released in June. So that'll be interesting.
ARMS seems like one of the most logical choices they could do. It's a fresh IP that was decently popular.
It's a Nintendo first-party IP. We were bound to get one eventually.
Hey, they could have gone and put in another Fire Emblem character.
So yeah, so there's that. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition was announced for Switch. This is the game that originally came out on the Wii and then was ported to the new 3DS because the original 3DS couldn't handle it. And now it's coming to Switch in May. That'll be nice because the original version still goes for like $60, $70.
Which is ridiculous. We'll watch it plummet in price now. It's either going to plummet or it's going to jump.
And it's going to have an additional epilogue, so we're still getting new content with this release. Other things that are coming to Switch, BioShock the Collection, Borderlands Legendary Collection, and XCOM 2, all coming to Switch. In May, May 29th is the date for all of those. Bravely Default 2 was announced, and there's a demo available now on Nintendo Switch. It's set to be released sometime this year. Don't have a date on that. They announced some details about the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass, the first season event for Animal Crossing New Horizons. I guess none of us played that, did we?
No.
That's like the big release that just came out.
Not really my kind of thing.
Same.
Yeah, I've never played one before, so... One of the big announcements for me personally from that Direct was that Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy is now available on Nintendo Switch. And later this year, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is going to be released on Nintendo Switch. So, and I don't know about you guys, but I have played a lot of both of those games over the years.
Yeah, Racer is a lot of fun. And here's one of the cool things now that I'm thinking about Racer being on the Switch. So on Racer, you could plug in two N64 controllers.
Yes.
And race using the two sticks and the triggers.
Yes.
And that was part of the limitation, was that you couldn't do crazy stuff with the N64 controller because it was limited in its design. But now two sticks is super standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of hoping that is like they rework it. It's not just a hard port where you have to do something really stupid to get that set up, where they rework it a little bit so that works properly.
Well, and here's the thing. They already have the mechanics to do that.
Yeah, it's already there. They just need to remap it.
Well, because the sequel, Star Wars Racer Revenge on the PS2, did exactly that. It lets you do acceleration with the two sticks. So the groundwork is there. It just, they're having to recode the whole thing anyway.
Right. So hopefully they'll actually, think about that.
Yeah. Also pertinent, the Jedi Knight Jedi Academy has both the story mode and the multiplayer mode.
Oh, nice.
Yes. 16 up to 16 players on the multiplayer mode. So that'll be fun. Next one they had is this Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. It's a whole lot of classic tabletop games. Chess, Connect 4, checkers, Go, several types of card games, bowling. There's a couple of tanks games. A whole bunch of games. Looks really good. I would definitely be picking this up because it looks great for local multiplayer, and that's coming out in June.
Kind of feels like one of those things that you would have bought on PC 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Very similar things on DS as well.
Yeah,
there it is.
So let's see. We have Burnout Paradise Remastered.
Yes.
Coming out this year. It originally came out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC in 2018. And now it's coming to Switch.
In 2018, it released on its 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I believe.
I mean, I've not got any experience with the Burnout games, but I know they're very popular.
They're very, very good. Burnout Paradise was especially good. Like, if I had to rank Burnout, it would probably be like Burnout 2, Burnout Revenge, and then Paradise as the top 3.
Next, we had Catherine Full Body is coming out on Switch in July.
Oh, I bet Adam's stoked.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything new about this port. I think it's just a straight port of the full body version. The one Adam is really excited about is Panzer Dragoon Remake.
Yes. Which
is out now as a timed console exclusive. The other things we have are Shinsekai Into the Depths, available now. Deep Sea Exploration game. Ring Fit Adventure Update.
For a half an hour Nintendo Direct, they really dumped a lot of content.
Yeah, they crammed a lot of stuff in here.
There's rapid fire.
Good Job is the title of this next game.
Oh, okay.
Madcap action puzzle game, apparently. Let's see, details on Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3's expansion pack. King's Bounty 2. I don't think any of us play King's Bounty. It's a series that started 30 years ago. It's getting a new game for Switch later this year. Ninjala is a free-to-play, up to 8-player ninja battle game coming out in May. And then just some rapid-fire ones. Trials of Mana coming out in April. Fuser, Elder Scrolls Blades, Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, a closed beta for Vigor. Saints Row 4 Reelected coming out. Actually, it came out yesterday as we record this. Let's see. Legend of Heroes Trials of Cold Steel 3 coming out in June. Mr. Driller Drill Land in June. And Minecraft Dungeons listed for spring.
I was kind of interested in that Minecraft Dungeons too. Looks interesting.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of things about it. I'm not, super hyped for it because Trials of Mana is coming out next month, and that was like one of the only games coming out this year that I intend to buy at launch.
Well, yeah, you have priorities, so
yes. Although I tell you what, soon as humanly possible, I will be picking up Jedi Academy.
Well, of course you will, even though you probably own it like thrice now, at least twice.
2 times, yeah. Steam and Xbox.
There you go. You know what? I'm not gonna judge.
There's not a whole lot being released for March and April. A lot of games have shied away from April because of Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil 3. Not a lot want to compete with them. I mean, Trials of Mana coming out. Oh, that one's actually coming out on PC, PS4, and Switch. Interesting. Okay. I thought it was exclusive. There's not a ton. Persona 5 Royale. That
weird Persona game.
Yeah.
Persona themed game, let's be honest.
Well, no, it's the like the quote unquote definitive edition of Persona 5.
No, what was the other game I'm thinking of then?
I have no idea.
There was another one. I thought the Persona series was going to kick out a
battle royale.
No, not a battle royale, like a Dynasty Warriors type game.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. Oh, you know what? It's Persona 5 Royal, not Royale. That's where I got confused. Okay. But yeah, so that came out March 31st. Okay. One of the big things I'm sure Jim Sterling got a lot of content out of is Fallout 76 Wastelanders expansion is coming out in April.
Yeah.
I keep seeing trailers for that.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Oof.
There's a Naruto game coming out in April.
Well, that was a lot of fanfare, wasn't it? There's a Naruto game.
I mean, it's, you know,
It's a Naruto game.
here's the thing. People that are into Naruto already know, and people that aren't into Naruto don't care.
Don't care. Yeah, it's a very, very niche crowd.
So there's a game coming out called Totally Reliable Delivery Service on April 1st.
I've heard of that.
I hadn't heard of it until I started looking at stuff, but the name alone has me curious.
I believe my friend was talking about this.
Yeah, so that's basically what we've got for March and April. I mean, there's, you know, a bunch of DLC packs coming out for stuff. There's One Piece game, One Piece Pirate Warriors will already be out.
One Piece is bad, and I'm sure I'm going to make someone mad saying that.
I have no opinion, so
It's going to be a busy spring.
for some people, I mean, most
Yeah.
people are going to be playing Animal Crossing.
This is true. This is true.
It's like, you know, you look at your timeline, it's, you know, all Animal Crossing.
I'm like, oh, okay. This is what I do now. Except me, because I don't play Animal Crossing. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with the game necessarily. It's just not a game for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I've been curious about it in the past, and
Animal Crossing curious.
yeah, so like this one, the thing is, by the time I would be able to pick it up, the initial rush would be gone. So like I wouldn't be getting the same experience everyone's getting right now.
Right. Well, since we just had the Nintendo Direct all over again, thank you. Since the timing on this episode is a little funky, we're recording in March to drop at the very, very beginning of April. I'm probably just going to run through the anniversaries of March and April because, you know, I'm allowed.
Right?
So I'm going to rapid fire this because that's a lot of games. Normally I flip through 1 month, but I'm flipping through 2. So let's highlight some of this.
Right.
Mega Man 10 released 10 years ago.
Nice.
And the first Nintendo World Championship, which is kind of a weird title to actually have an anniversary, but technically it does exist, is 30 years old in March. Panzer Dragoon turned 25 for the Saturn release. Chrono Trigger turned 25. Wow, and I bought that one too when it was new. Heart Gold and Soul Silver Pokemon turned 10 in March. Yeah, I bought that brand new out of a GameStop before GameStop was really, really bad. Oh, man. I'm going to take a quick break from this to interject a news bit. GameStop just permanently closed 300 stores.
Yeah.
So while we know the economy is going to take a dip in a lot of places, GameStop actually might go out of business.
Yeah,
For reals. Like, they were doing really bad before this whole pandemic. They're doing real bad now.
Yeah, it is. It is
And
very bad.
And it's kind of a bittersweet departure. I feel really bad for everyone who is employed with GameStop, and also it's like GameStop EB Games is a icon in the gaming community, but at the same time, they've really proven themselves to be kind of a terrible company in the last few years. So,
Yeah.
I feel bad for the people, not for the company itself.
Yeah, and you know, Reggie Fils-Aimé just you know, got himself in there, and now he's gonna have to. Yeah, he's on the board now.
Well, not for long.
Yeah, like, yeah, I guess it's time to job hunt again.
Ugh, that sucks. I mean, he has enough money; he can retire.
Yeah, I mean,
His body is ready. Anyway, on that note, let me hop back and start smashing these out again. Kirby's Dream Land 2 was 25 years ago. God of War, 15 years ago. Wow.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mega Man 7 is 25 years old. Tekken 5 is 15 years old. And then we're going to bounce into April, which will be accurate by the time this episode drops. Metal Gear Solid 2 is 30 years old. Wow. Or not Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear 2. Let me clarify. I knew that didn't sound right. Yeah, Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge is 30 years old. Lego Star Wars the video game is 15 years old. God, that was a fun game too.
That was real good.
That really kicked off the new branch of Lego games, which have all been a good time. Oh, this one might interest you. Fire Emblem in Japan is 30 years old.
Yep, came out like weeks after I was born.
Majora's Mask is 20 years old, at least for its
Yes.
Japan release.
Yes.
And Excitebike 64 just turned 20, or will be turning 20 at the end of April. Not a whole lot going on in April. Not a
Yeah.
big game month. That's basically all I got. No really honorable mentions. I'm not near turn 10. That's an interesting series.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, with that, I think that wraps up the news. So I think we can just boogie on over to our actual main topic for the month.
Deploying surprise in 5, 4. Time out for a second. That wasn't supposed to happen. Do you see that thing that fell out of me? What is that? It's not the surprise. I've never seen it before. This was a triumph. I'm making a note here. Huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every move.
So this month, being April Fools, we're going to be diving into 360 era games. Just like we did last year, we'll be covering modern games. This year, we're going to be covering semi-modern games. And to kick us off here, we're going to start with Portal, because Portal is legendary.
Yes.
It's hard to find someone who was playing games when Portal released who hasn't played Portal. And even if you haven't played it, I think just about everybody who's ever played a video game knows about Portal.
And several people who haven't because the memes were everywhere.
Yeah, everybody knows Now You're Thinking with Portals.
Yeah, and the cake is a lie.
And the cake is a lie, yeah.
This was the early days of memes.
So, fun fact, there's a gas station about 4 miles from my house.
Mhm.
And this was back in 2000, probably, I would say that was probably about 14, maybe.
Mhm.
And I roll over there, and I'm gassing up, and I look on the top corner of the gas pump, and somebody sharpied on there with a cake. The cake is a lie. And it's like, this game isn't even new, and people are still doing this.
Yeah.
So,
Memes, yo.
memes.
A lot of that popularity kind of, I think, came about by accident because it was essentially just a bonus game bundled in with Half-Life 2.
Yeah. Well, because it was mostly like, from what I know, Portal started off as basically a game physics experiment that quickly evolved into an actual puzzle game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was called Ocular Drop or something like that.
Narbocular drop.
Narbocular drop.
Ah, right. And I believe Valve hired the team that made that because they were really impressed with it, and they got them to remake it as Portal.
Yeah, it's a spiritual successor to Narbocular drop.
Can you still get Narbocular drop?
I have no idea. Released in 2005. And that was the thing, is like the Narbocular drop was a senior project.
Yeah.
And Valve liked it so much, it was like, hey guys, come make a game.
See, I never realized that Narbocular drop was a senior project. I had always heard that Portal was the senior project for game design. But I guess, a little bit of truth and a little bit of myth boils into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even play Portal. I've played through Portal about 3 times. I haven't played it for years, but I think I've played it enough times that I remember enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's such because it doesn't explain what's going on. It's just, you are awake in a lab room, and you're told to grab a thing and start going through the experiments.
I'm going to tag in here with an update. Narbocular drop is not available on Steam.
Oh, that sucks.
So, womp womp.
You would have thought if there's one place that it would be available, it would be on Steam.
Right?
Well, I mean, honestly, because it was a senior project, they probably never actually had it appropriately published.
Yeah, probably.
So it's probably shareware at this point.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, going back to Portal, it's like the puzzle game genre is generally not known for having a storyline.
It's not.
But this is one of the first ones that actually did, and even though you don't really get much of the story at the start, it just slowly unfolds as you play, and it's actually ends up being a really interesting, fun story.
Yeah.
And it's just a little wacky and goofy because, I mean, GLaDOS is just psychotic. Who doesn't love a psychotic robot?
You will be baked, and then there will be cake.
But one of the things I really like about Portal is it guides you through the puzzle progression. It doesn't handhold. It tells you just enough.
Yeah.
And I will say that I have played games recently, Doom Eternal included, that definitely hold your hand a little too much with the tutorials.
Mm.
And it's just like info boxes popping up constantly.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fine, I can figure this out. Whereas Portal's a great example of press this button to shoot, press this button to jump. Only flat white surfaces can take portals. Okay.
Yeah.
Use this button to grab stuff. And you're basically it. And occasionally will pop up a thing like, oh, hey, momentum is carried. It's like, okay, that's important to know. And after that, it's all up to you, but it never throws you into a puzzle that is far too wild. It always incrementally ups the puzzles.
Right.
Because I've played a lot of games where it's just like, now we're going to give you a real challenge, and it's just the wildest puzzle.
And then there's once you've been through the game the first time, there's additional challenges you can do of like, find the radio and then get it to a certain place in the level.
Yeah.
So they built in a level of replayability that ended up being a elaborate teaser for Portal 2, which is just amusing.
Which came out how longer? How later? Longer? What? How much later? How much later did Portal 2 come out? Because that was a big gap. That was like...
Portal came out in 2007. Portal 2 came out in 2011.
So... That was only 4 years?
Yeah.
I thought it was longer than that.
And, like, the thing that was hidden in Portal was like a concept art picture of one of the robots from Portal 2's multiplayer mode. So, like, it was one of the concepts they had figured out before Portal 2 started development.
That's kind of like Arkham Asylum had a super ultra secret teaser for Arkham City that wasn't discovered for years. I actually think one of the devs came out and was like, by the way, do a thing over here for a teaser, because nobody had found it.
Yeah.
You can spray your explosive gel on breakable walls, but the wall in question didn't show up as an explosive gel wall. It also didn't explode with just one application.
Oh, you had to do it multiple times.
You had to hit it 3 times. And then the wall blew out on the inside. You go in there, and there was basically the secret plans to basically quarantine off a portion of Gotham into a giant prison, which is obviously the whole plot of Arkham City.
Right. Well, that's like in Uncharted 3, there's a newspaper that talks about an outbreak that's referring to Last of Us. And in, I want to say Halo Reach, there's like some graffiti on a wall that says Destiny Awaits, and it's got the big circle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like those are, more in your face examples than Portals, but still, it's still a cool tidbit.
A little off topic, but I really feel like Bungie would be really smart to tie Destiny into Marathon.
I mean, yeah.
Since they own both of those, it just makes sense. But, that's just me. What do I know? I just work here. But Portal,
Let's see.
since we're wandering again, we like to do that a lot.
Yeah.
Just really just meander off topic. The Portal experience is one that's kind of hard to talk about because you want to talk about it, but you don't know which you really want to go other than just sort of gush about how good the game is.
Well, and it's also one of those that a lot of the best things about Portal are hard. They're hard to explain. They're better experienced.
Yeah.
We can tell you, you know, the funny jokes and the, you know, oh, the puzzles are really good, but when you take stuff out of the context of the game, it doesn't land as well. Like the presentation is a big part of a lot of it.
It is, and that does make it a little difficult, and it's almost like you don't want to cheapen the game by telling people about stuff, but like your character has nothing. Your character has a non-character, and I think the point of that is the character is supposed to be you.
Right.
Which is why what's the character's official name?
Chell.
Chell, there you go. She doesn't have a voice.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like, I think there's almost zero voice acting unless it's like when you get hit by a laser. That might be the only one.
And I don't even think it does that.
I don't even think it does that. Because you are the character.
Yeah.
Which is smart. So they were able to dump everything into the antagonist. And to this day, I don't think GLaDOS is evil.
No, she's in it for the science.
She's in it for the science. She is not good, but she is true neutral.
Yeah.
You know, human life be damned. If it's for the science, it's for the science.
Yeah.
Whatever science that she's trying to do science with, because they don't clarify that either. Like, are they testing the portal gun, or is this an experiment on humans for the sake of science?
Right.
Maybe it's both. You don't know. And it doesn't matter. All you know is that GLaDOS is making your life miserable, and you have to play her games.
Yeah.
Which, again, super simple, but it's brilliant. And then that led into an actual storied game like Portal 2.
Yeah.
Well, it led into the storied game Portal 2. Which I should actually probably play again.
Yeah.
Because it's just that good. Who else got character? Oh, the sentry turrets. Again, literally just an obstacle, but because they didn't have to focus on you, they went and gave these little sentry turrets more character than, honestly, the protagonists in a lot of games now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of the different machinery and the cubes as well have
The cubes, yep.
like personality.
Now that I think about it, I wonder if that was intentional, that basically as perhaps a joke of some sort, that all of these robots have all of the personality and you literally are nothing.
I don't know, and it might have been intentional.
I mean, even in the second game, Shell doesn't really get any kind of story. She's referenced a few times. I mean, GLaDOS kind of calls her out on her appearance a couple times, and then she tells off the other robot for doing the same thing later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is kind of like a blank slate. And I think, I mean, obviously the star of the show is GLaDOS, and I think the game is about GLaDOS, essentially.
It's not about you.
You know, so that's why more personality was given to her. And it should be pointed out as well, the voice acting for GLaDOS is excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Again, like you said, GLaDOS is star of the show in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah, absolutely.
There isn't much story, but the story that there is centers around GLaDOS rather than you. And it's just a really, really fun character that you don't really expect to see in a puzzle game. And even for the first half hour of the game, you just think, oh, it's just some random voice. You know, you don't really see until you get in probably about halfway through that this is like an individual character that, you know, does have a personality and is kind of like driving this story as she slowly starts to become more and more unhinged. as the game goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting way to do a character. Like starting out someone is almost someone that you don't even see as a character, and then slowly building up until you get the reveal that actually she is kind of like the major character.
The big bad of the game.
Yeah.
And it's just a maniacal, unhinged AI. Like I said, brilliant. The game is brilliant.
Yeah, it's just a very good game.
And
Like-
a bit of trivia as well.
Oh boy.
The cores that you use in the final boss fight, they were voiced by Mike Patton from
Really?
Faith No More. Yeah.
Oh,
Who
that's
who
great.
who also did all of the zombie noises in Left 4 Dead. He
Nice.
basically did some voice session work for Valve, and his voice made it into several games. Because he is, I mean, I don't know how many people listening are kind of like into Faith No More, but Mike Patton, he can do things with his voice that are just unnatural. You know, he's an incredible singer, but he can also produce these kind of like guttural sounds that sound like nothing else on earth. He did the vampires in I Am Legend as well. He's just got this really, really versatile voice, and he did all the cores in the boss fight.
Nice.
Nice. Hey, when you got talent.
Yeah.
Real quick update. Narbacular Drop is a freeware game.
Okay.
So,
Relevant. I'm assuming Windows, no doubt.
yeah, probably.
I'll have to grab that because I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's not like the most polished thing, but again,
I mean, it was impressive enough for, Gabe Newell to hire these guys, so.
yeah, to hire him and have him make Portal.
Yeah.
So another way that the story kind of progresses is in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
You have these pristine test chambers, and the further you get, you kind of start seeing the cracks.
Yeah.
And you come across places that are not what you'd expect a pristine test chamber to be. You have like panels missing, and you have areas that you can get into, kind of like see behind the scenes,
Mhm.
and like you see that famous like Ratman scroll on the wall in one of those areas.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to think, okay, something is going on here. You know, there's something not quite right.
Basically, what actually has been going on in this lab, which you never do really find out.
Yeah, I mean, so there's, like, you look at the Wikipedia page, there's a whole bunch of information on the setting that is not revealed in game. It's all information you learn in Portal 2 and stuff that was being put up on the website at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is tied into the Half-Life universe.
Yes,
so
it
is.
It is.
It is part of that. There are references to like Black Mesa and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like right in the end song when she says maybe when GLaDOS is singing, it says maybe Black Mesa, haha, fat chance.
Yeah. And she makes a comment in the final fight that's like, you don't know what's going on out there, referring to the events of Half-Life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's actually fun too because the portal gun has the gravity gun mechanics where you can pick stuff up and throw it and move it around, and obviously the gravity gun is a big deal in Half-Life.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is where they were developing that sort of tech, and then they just abandoned GLaDOS. I don't know.
Yeah.
I almost like the speculation behind it. I'm sure they've clarified at some point. I haven't read like the in-depth information.
All right. So the events that caused the facility to get to where it is happened before Half-Life. This game takes place between Half-Life and Half-Life 2, it looks like. And then Portal 2, I think, takes place after all the Half-Life games. Yeah, it looks like it.
But what about the VR one?
Oh, I have no idea.
Same.
But yeah, in Portal 2, it is mentioned that it takes place like a significant amount of time after.
Yeah, it's like you have been in stasis for 999999999.
There was a Portal short someone made, like a fan short they made on YouTube years and years ago, and I won't spoil it, but it was really, really good. Like, it was just super good. So I'll post that up.
There's a I mean, this is more about Portal 2 than Portal, but there was a mod made for Portal 2 that tells a different story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called let me get back to my desktop. Portal Stories Mel. It's basically a Portal 2 mod that tells an alternate story in Aperture.
I think actually Portal 2 was one of the first games to get full Steam Workshop support.
Yeah. In fact, that might have been what they used to roll out the feature. They had these little videos they did to promote Portal 2. They were like, quick 2 or 3 minute videos. And they did one for the Steam Workshop thing, explaining, you use the thing to make all these test chambers, and we'll run them through.
Yeah, and there's so many kind of like really, really good user created levels as well. I mean, even I created a level. It was shit, but I made one because it's like a really, really easy tool to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I went through a spate of after I finished Portal 2 of going through like a load of user created test chambers, and there's some really, really inventive stuff.
It's a good, smart time. I would say, and I will say, because I really do like Portal 2, I don't think it's better than Portal. And there's arguments for that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Portal is about as close you can get to a perfect video game as is possible.
I mean, yeah, I have heard people express that opinion before.
I mean, a lot of that is down to the fact that it doesn't overstay its welcome. I mean, it's a short game.
It is a short game. You can beat that game in reasonably. Obviously, speedrunners can just blast through that game in 30 minutes or something crazy, even less.
Yeah,
they can just blitz it.
I think 4 hours.
But I would say, a reasonable time is about 4, maybe 5 hours.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, Portal 2, I felt was a little bit too long. I felt it could have done with chopping out about an hour. I mean, I still really, really enjoyed the game, but I think it was just starting to overstay its welcome by the time I got to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, Time to Beat says main story is 3 hours, extras is 5, and completing it is about 9.
What is that for the first one?
Yeah, it's for the first one.
I have to say, it didn't take me anywhere near that long. I'm sure I did it in about 2 hours.
I mean, yeah, if you're just bopping through it, once you get into a flow. I would say I think my first run through took me about 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours is about where I usually end up.
A lot of the puzzles in that game, they are so well designed. I mean, there's a very fine line when you're creating puzzles in making it slightly too hard, or making it so that when you finally work it out, when it finally clicks, you feel like a genius.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah, pretty much all the puzzles in Portal, you feel really, really clever for kind of finally working it out.
Well, and they established that early on. There's one where Gladys comes in and says, this test chamber is impossible. Do not attempt to complete it.
And I love that you're constantly beating her test chamber. She's like, oh, you're gonna die in this one. Nope, that was just testing you to see if you were gonna die or not. I knew you could do it the whole time.
One thing we should mention as well is the music is really good.
Oh yes, well, what little music there is.
And a lot of those same themes carried on in Portal 2. And there's a really extensive free download of the Portal 2 soundtrack available.
Oh, really?
It's like 3 volumes. It's really big.
Because I don't recall Portal having a whole lot of music, but...
It was mostly ambient stuff.
Yeah, Portal 2, on the other hand.
I mean, obviously, we've got to talk about the main final end theme.
Oh, It's Still Alive is which I would call that a cultural phenomena of sorts, with at least within the gaming community. I mean, I actually just, because I wasn't playing the game, I was just like, well, I'm going to listen to the end theme, at least. So I pulled it up on YouTube and listened to it.
There are so many covers of that on YouTube.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
really,
I mean,
really popular.
They even put that song into Rock Band.
Did they?
Yeah, it's a song you can buy in Rock Band.
That's great, and that makes me happy.
So what's interesting is I had some friends who had all played this game years before I got around to it, and like they had talked about a whole lot of the stuff, but by the time I got to it, I'd forgotten most of it, and I didn't know that the song was there at the end. So I got to that and I was like, holy crap!
Speaking of the end, you can find cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to find. Like, you will not just accidentally stumble across the cake. But I love that for years there was an argument on whether or not the cake was real. Was the cake real? Well, no, obviously the cake was a lie. That's the whole joke, is you're bribed with cake. There is never cake. You escape the laboratory, and you never get your cake. And everybody apparently else who has gone through the laboratory and probably died in the process has scrawled on the walls, the cake is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And the cake is absolutely not a lie. Spoiler alert. I probably should have said spoiler alert at the beginning of that. The cake is not a lie. The game's 15 years old. Well,
Yeah.
13 years old. Turns out GLaDOS is the good guy after all. Good guy cake man.
I know. I'm seeing some argument as to whether or not it's actually possible to get to that room without cheating.
I don't think you have to activate cheats to get through the wall, but I think you actually have to glitch through the wall.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just find the cake. You can't go oh, I'm going to go over here. You have to intentionally catapult yourself through the wall.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll look into this because that might be something to try out.
Speaking briefly about the end of Portal 2, I just love how that whole story plays out. GLaDOS has been trying to get you to test for ages and ages and ages, and you keep thwarting her plans. You keep kind of destroying everything. And at the end of Portal 2, she's just like, you know what? I hate you, but just go. You're just fucking up all my plans. I'm done with you. Just leave.
Yeah. It's it is too much hassle to actually kill you.
Yeah. And you get another excellent end song all about that at the end of Portal 2 called Want You Gone.
Yeah.
I used to want you dead, but now I just want you gone.
What a champ. Oh, speaking of ends, one thing I did find weird, but very enjoyable in Portal was it's a puzzle game all the way through, and there are hazards that'll kill you, but there's really nothing to fight. It's just avoid hazards, avoid sentry turrets, make them do their thing.
Yeah.
And then the game ends with a boss fight.
Yeah.
And the first time I played Portal, that threw me off. Not in a bad way, but I was not expecting an actual boss fight.
I guess, yeah, you'd probably call it a boss fight, but you don't actually fight GLaDOS. You just destroy her cores.
Yeah, and you use all the tools that you've learned to do along the way to do it, which is good game design. But I would definitely call it a boss fight because you're launching missiles back, you're picking up the things, you're tearing her apart, and it's a boss fight.
Mm.
You don't have actual guns, but it's a boss fight. And I loved it. Once I was oh shit, I actually have to do this. I will die here.
Right.
Those are missiles. I don't know. It was good stuff. It's like I said, I don't know how we could just talk about how good the game is we could do the whole episode on just talking about how good Portal is and not say a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I think we've just proven it is a difficult game to talk about.
It is. But you can talk about it the whole time. Amongst people who have played the game, you can just talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't played Portal, you should go play Portal.
Yeah, it's super cheap.
It's super cheap.
Really,
I mean, you can pick up the orange. If you want, you can go pick up the orange box collection for next to nothing.
And it might be on Game Pass.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't.
I know it was given away at some point. I want to say last year or the year before, with Games with Gold.
They did.
Because I actually got that, and that was how I played it this time around. Okay, so it's not on Game Pass, but Bridge Constructor Portal is.
What the hell is Bridge Constructor Portal?
It's a thing Valve was trying to do. Like that's the last actual game they released.
Okay, I never heard anything about it.
Yeah,
interesting. I'll have to check that out. Since they're allergic to making games that end in 3.
Yeah.
No, but you can pick Portal up for cheap. You can pick it up for super cheap on Steam. You can pick it up for super cheap on Xbox. You can go find a used copy of the Orange Box collection. Or I think it's just called the Orange Box.
Yeah.
And you get, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Team Fortress 2 and Portal. So it's a worthwhile collection to have, and I bet you can pick it up for $5 or $10. I haven't looked. But even if it was 15, absolutely worth it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna look that up. Orange Box. Yeah, it's looking anywhere between $10 and $15.
Yeah.
For a physical copy used.
Portal and Portal 2 were both $10 on Steam.
I'm surprised they just haven't released a version of Portal that has Portal 1 and 2 together.
Portal Bundle.
Oh, there you go, Portal Bundle.
$15.
That's even better. And I'm assuming that's digital?
Well, it's Steam.
Oh, Steam, yeah. There you go.
There should have been a physical release for Xbox and PlayStation, but they didn't.
Well, there you go. No excuses.
Yep.
You can go panhandle for $15. And with that, I think it's time we move on to our next topic. Well, our next game.
Yep.
You've been wrong about every single thing you've ever done, including this thing.
All right, for our second game is Gears of War, released. It was a launch title on the 360, actually, and it has spawned soon to be 6 games.
I think so.
Because Gears Tactics. This is honestly one of my favorite series on the Xbox. It's one of my favorite series. Period. The only one I felt slightly let down by was Gears 4, and even it wasn't a bad game. It was just kind of samey. Oh no, 7 games. I forgot about Gears Judgment. Gears Judgment wasn't very good. You can skip it. You don't need to play it. But I know, Matt, you hadn't played it before this. What about you, Steven?
Nope, I had not played it before we did this.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Well, what did y'all think?
I didn't get that far. I was only doing I want to say I played 2 hours. It's fine. I can see the core of the good game, and where a lot of the jokes from back then came from.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you can definitely tell it's somewhat a product of its time.
It is, and it did spawn the big muscly men shooting from behind chest high's wall.
Yeah,
that genre, it kicked it off. So others have done it better since.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing it when it was new, when I was 2005? I was 15 or 16 because it was a pretty new game.
Mm-hmm.
Playing it with my friend, we were playing a split-screen co-op on his Xbox, and I remember we were just all about it because obviously it was monsters and guns and gratuitous violence and a chainsaw gun, so...
I got to... where did I get to? I played for about a couple hours as well. I got past the Berserker eventually.
I hate that fight.
I also hate that fight. And I got to the point where what are those guys called? You go to this guy's house anyway. Well, it's kind of not a house. Anyway, basically you do that section, and when you come out again, it's starting to get dark.
Yes.
It's getting to night. And I ended up getting really frustrated because the enemies are brown, the sceneries are brown,
Yeah.
it's dark, I can't see shit. I can't see where the enemies are.
Where did you set your brightness to? Because I do set my brightness kind of high in that game, specifically because of the dusk section.
Well, I should obviously have put it a little bit higher, but yeah, I had. It wasn't so much the brightness. I think it was just everything is the same color.
Yeah.
It is Brownsville.
Yeah, but in terms of like what I actually played, I'm not really into third-person shooters. There are the occasional exceptions, like Resident Evil 4, that I do like, but it's not really my kind of thing. And cover shooting just isn't really fun for me. You know, if I am playing a shooter, I kind of want to go like balls to the wall and kind of like run around shooting stuff.
Doom.
Rather
I was
than
going to say, you are a resident Doom boy, so...
rather than just hide in, popping off a couple shots, hide in, popping off a couple shots. The story seemed interesting, though, I have to say.
Which is weird because the story is actually just really bonkers and off the wall and doesn't tell you a whole lot in the first game. The story is really getting fleshed out through the series now.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I fully intend to play through the series at some point since I have access to all of it on Game Pass.
Right.
But, like, if I want to play a third-person cover shooter, I'll play Mass Effect.
Like I said, others have done it better. I think I mostly like the atmosphere of Gears, because the first Gears is one of my favorite games, but I think it's the gritty atmosphere that it has. And the fact that it is absolutely ridiculous, but plays it straight.
Mm.
Like, it is so... When you actually sit down and think about it, it's so fucking absurd.
Yeah, it's madness.
But
yeah, there's some very over the top characters.
But it just deadpan plays everything as dead serious, and I love that. It's what makes it fun. I mean, she just running around like, oh yeah, we're whatever. I don't even remember what the name of the planet is. It doesn't matter because it's not Earth. We have monsters coming from the core, and we're gonna go get them with guns with chainsaws on them. Well, okay. Everyone in this military is absolutely ripped because that's just how we do. We all have our own. We have our own dark. We all have our own dark, brooding past, and over the top characters like Marcus is just super like, "Mrah, I'm the angry man," and then Augustus Cole is the ex-football player, and he's just super hyped about everything, and it's silly. It's dumb as hell. I want to play it again.
Yeah, so don't the enemies get any more fleshed out in the first game then? Because from what I played, like I said, I was finding the story interesting. I found it quite intriguing because you've got these enemies that don't really tell you much about. So does that not ever get explained?
So, spoiler alert, not really.
Oh.
Not in the first game. They try to do a thing with I believe it's in the first game you come across the Sires. And it's very clear that they're an experiment run by the humans, but they don't clarify if they are... They don't clarify if they're an experiment on the Locust or if they're an experiment on humans. Like, they just don't... They don't tell you anything. You get a little bit, and it's a lot of speculation. And you don't really know, and then Gears 2 has a bit more exposition on just sort of what's going on. And then by Gears 3, they actually, like, set a lot of it in stone. Like, this is what's actually happening. We kind of know, we now know where the swarm comes from. We know what their motive is. And then by the time Gears 5 comes around, they actually, I believe, tell you what the Sires were. Like, it took them 4 mainline games to actually explain what happens in the first one.
Well, there's like no way I'm getting that far because I don't want to play any more of it.
Yeah, and it's just And I'll keep it vague for Steven, so he kind of knows what's, I don't want to ruin anything if he wants to play it all. But yeah, it takes him a long time to actually flesh out the story, and I will say I still haven't finished Gears 5, not because it's not good, but because I was playing it with my brother, and we just haven't had, our schedules clash really badly. So we need to sit back down and finish it up. We're a little over halfway through. But yeah, it's actually the story. Gears 5 probably actually has the best story so far. But mostly because it's answering questions that longtime players have had the whole time. So that's a thing.
It definitely looked very nice. I mean, aside from it being brown. I mean,
it's amazing what you can do with grays and browns, nice. Right? And to this day, I still think Gears has one of the best fire effects of its time, because fire always looks super wacky in video games. It always feels not good, but the what they did to make fire looks really good. And that's a big selling point, because there's a lot of times where a lot of stuff is on fire.
Yeah, with it being a launch game, I kind of feel they really went all out to make this look as good as it can possibly look.
Again, for grays and browns. Gears Ultimate is on Game Pass right now, which, is that the one you were playing, Steven?
No, I was playing the original 360 release on Game Pass.
All right. That's probably a bit of a smaller download. Gears Ultimate is a beefy download.
Yeah.
I think I would have done a little bit better if I was playing with mouse and keyboard. But yeah, I was doing it with controller, and it was fine. But basically, the control scheme wasn't why I wasn't enjoying it.
It was just the monotone dirt theme.
It wasn't even that. It was just, I just found that cover thing just didn't really gel with me. It's
not
just
your style.
Yeah, it's not how I like to play that kind of game.
And I accept that. I personally enjoy it when it's done well. Like you said, Mass Effect does their cover has worked pretty well. Well, I don't know. The first Mass Effect could be a little janky.
Yeah, so the first one, they hadn't really refined their cover shooting aspect, but it was arguably the strongest in the story department. And then by the time you got through Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, they had really, really refined it to the point where you get to Mass Effect Andromeda and it's just outstanding in terms of the cover shooting gameplay mechanics.
I really feel like that games that hybrid the cover system work best, like the new Wolfenstein games.
Mm-hmm.
Because, if you're not in cover, you will die in Gears of War.
Right.
They punish you for not being in cover. There is no run and gun. You can run and shoot, but the fact is, or you can walk and shoot, but the fact is, if you're not shooting from cover, you're just gonna go down.
Yeah.
Whereas in Wolfenstein, it definitely encourages you to do both and mix it up. They want you to just run around and blow stuff away, and then take advantage of cover when it is advantageous.
Right.
And I think that's smart. And Mass Effect, you can run around and shoot, but then also cover to hold your position. Yes. And again, it's a smart blend of combat.
Mm-hmm.
There is no cover in Doom.
Well, and the thing with Mass Effect is there's so many different options. It's your gun is not the end all be all.
Yes.
Whereas something like, say, Doom, the gun is all that matters.
The only cover you have is the wall of bullets you put out.
Like the demons are taking cover from you, not the other way around.
I just saw a thing the other day. It's like, have you ever thought about that the basically the heavy metal music in Doom is the boss music, and you're the boss?
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Just demons chilling in hell, and then suddenly heavy metal music starts playing. What's going on? So you both got past the Berserker.
Nope.
Which is... Oh, no, you didn't get past the Berserker.
Did not get to the Berserker.
Oh. Okay. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's an annoying fight. Mostly it's the running part. Once you're actually fighting it proper, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, no, so I focused on the game we're going to talk about in a bit, in terms of time allocation for these. So,
Right.
yeah.
I know we spent a second on Portal, so I would like to move on to that because I do have things to say about it.
Yeah.
You have to fight a berserker twice, and the
Oh,
second
God.
time is nowhere near as bad because you can't hurt the berserker. There's a weapon in the game called the Hammer of Dawn, which I don't know if you picked it up or not, because they give it to you before you fight the berserker, and then you get it again. Then you have to use it to fight it because the berserker's like super heavily armored. And you can't actually hurt it with your bullets, so you have to the whole thing is like, oh, you got to get it outside, and you got to hit it with the big space laser, so you soften its armor, so bullets will actually hurt it. And that's the fight. The fight is run away because it'll kill you instantly. If it touches you, you die.
Yeah, you do use the hammer on 3 nests, I think they are, or some kind of big
the cedars.
Yeah, that's what they're called. So you've got to take out 3 of them with the Hammer of Dawn. And then when you get to the Berserker, you need to lower it outside. The problem I had with the Berserker is you get to these doors and it says, this is a smashable door. So I tried to shoot it. And I tried to, hit it with the melee. I could not work out for the life of me what to do. I was trying for ages, and it wasn't until I actually looked up a video online that I see you've got to kind of bait the berserker into charging you, and then jump out of the way, and it will knock down the door.
Yeah, it blasts the door, and then you got to run it back, and then you go through the door, and you got to do that 3 times, and it's just a pain in the ass. And once you get outside, it's a cakewalk. The second time you fight it, you're on a big train, and you have to lure it back to the last car, and it's open. They're fairly open, so it's not super hard to stay away from it. And then you just run back and you disconnect the train, and you just kind of leave it behind in a slightly comical way. You're just sort of later. Now I'm gonna go back to finishing this train level. Sucks to suck. Well, it's a shame you didn't get a little farther because you get some really fun weapons. You were probably dealing with the hammer burst, the shotgun, and the lancer mostly. A little bit later on, you get at some point you end up getting the rocket launcher, which is cool because it lobs rockets versus it's like a hybrid between a rocket launcher and a grenade launcher. There's definitely a firing arc, and that's always fun. But the coolest weapon in the game is the torque bow, and it doesn't make any sense how it works because it has giant hydraulic powered arms as if it was an actual compound bow that draw back as you charge the shot up, and you get a big firing line so you know exactly where your arrow is going, but your arrow also has a warhead on it. So basically it's a rocket launcher except it's an arrow. And you can if you're get really good with it, you can line up trick shots and you can ram an arrow through someone's head and it'll stick into the person behind them and then explode. And yeah, it's buckets of fun.
One weapon that did seem quite fun, which the guys in my squad had, but I didn't, was the chainsaw gun thing.
Oh yeah, you get one of those. You get to pick one of those up pretty quick. I think you get one. I think is the standard loadout after the berserker fight, or maybe not right after. It might be a little bit more, but yeah, you do get it, and yeah, you get it's a one-hit kill on enemies or on most enemies. You can just roll up and hit them with the chainsaw.
They were splitting them in half.
Yeah. The Boltok pistol is outstanding. I think you get to pick that one up in the 2nd or 3rd section. You can find one to pick up. And it has
I did get something that looked like a Magnum earlier on.
Yeah, it would have been that. If you can do just a tiny little bit of zoom, you can click the stick to zoom in just a little bit, and it pops heads like watermelons. I've gone through games where I've just ran the Magnum as long as I could because it hit so hard. Did you figure out the active reload system?
How do you mean?
So when you reload, you have your little bar. On every weapon, there's a little bar somewhere on your actual ammo thing, and when you reload, you'll notice that it goes click, and then a little bar starts sliding up your ammo gauge.
Oh, I did see a bar. I didn't know what it was.
When you click the reload button again on that bar, you get an active reload, and it instantly loads your gun, and you get a damage boost.
All right. No, I had no idea about that.
But if you click it after the bar, I think your reload is the same, like it continues the same. And if you click it too early, he'll jam your gun. And then you have to go through a longer reload animation. But when you get really good at the active reload, you really start ripping stuff up. And it's an important mechanic that has carried through in all the games. I don't know. I like it. I'm a little sad that you didn't like it as much, but then again, if you're super into just hardcore running guns, it makes total sense.
The best way I can describe it is kind of like Halo if Master Chief was really into hide and seek.
Well, and it's funny you should say that, because one of the problems I have with Halo is, at least on the higher difficulties, heroic and legendary, you need to utilize cover. You have to. But those games were not designed with cover in mind even a little bit. So it becomes a very, terrible Jimmy and shake situation where you're trying to, dodge around these bullets and get and pop some shots off, and then you end up dying because it's legendary and you die in 2 shots. And yeah, so it's funny that you're just into hide and seek. It's if Halo actually had a cover system.
Yeah, but I didn't really like Halo much either, so...
It's funny, I really liked it when it was relevant, and going back and trying to play it now is just the worst.
I'm a big fan of Halo. But as far as third person and cover shooting, so my first experience with that was Mass Effect. So I was kind of already it wasn't a good starting place for third person shooting because it's an RPG first, and the shooting felt kind of tacked on in the first game. So
it's a shoot 'em up second.
Yeah. Third person shooting isn't a huge thing for me, but it's it is what it is.
It is now.
As I said, it's generally not a genre that I'm going to go for. But there are 1 or 2 games that I enjoy. Like I said, Resident Evil 4, and this just didn't grab me.
Well, that's a shame, but I don't hate you for it. I liked it. I still like it.
I can see why people like it.
There you go. I think that's about the most honest thing you could say, is not for me, but I respect it. In a way. You understand it. There you go. You don't have to respect it. It's a silly game. What's really crazy is just how much it spawned. The biggest thing about Gears is just how much it has spawned. A lot of games, but there's a lot of other stuff too. There are several comic book series. I believe there are actual books not comic books, but just books now.
Oh yeah, I've seen them in secondhand shops.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
And they went and built this honestly giant universe off of what just started off as a silly buff man shoot 'em up. And I think that's impressive.
Yeah, the impression that I got from the couple hours that I played was that there was definitely a world there with some interesting stuff in it that they could expand upon in other media.
And that is exactly what they did, even if it didn't make any sense. Speaking of things that don't make sense, so the Lancer and its chainsaw bayonet is apparently solar powered. It is an electric chainsaw that charges off of solar energy, officially. Which is why, when you start your Lancer up in Gears of War, it sounds like a normal chainsaw and has black exhaust, it's a 2-stroke. I'm not making that up. That's official, that it's an electric chainsaw. which makes sense. But then why does it sound like a normal chainsaw? I don't know. I wish y'all had liked it a little bit better. Well, I wish you had liked it a little better, because I thought you would like it a little more because of the atmosphere it puts. Like in the very beginning when you're in the prison, it is very an unsettling, low-key horror atmosphere.
Yeah, but it's difficult to properly convey horror in a game with that much action.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get a little bit farther on, it gets back into kind of like the creepy. They introduce something called the lambent. You start coming across lambent wretches, and they're basically like overexposed to the emulsion in the game, and they're super caustic and they glowy and they'll also explode. But it's the area that you're in that's super creepy. You're basically in a super abandoned factory, and you have like glowy wretches running around. You don't know when they're going to pop up, and it just makes the area really tense, even though they're not super duper dangerous. And then also in that same level, they have a rail shooter segment, literally on rails. You jump in with the equivalent of a minecart and roll down the rails, and you have to shoot stuff, and it's pretty fun. But I don't want to spoil too much for Steven. Not that there's like much story to spoil. Not in the first one anyway. But I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. But yeah, straightforward game. Pretty simple. I like it. Enough. But I think we need to roll on to the other star of the show, according to Steven. Because he's been itching to play this game for a long time. At least for the podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll have a quick musical interlude, and if you want, Steven, I'll let you open that one up, because this is your realm.
I've been really busy being dead. You know, after you murdered me.
The next game we're going to talk about is the one that I picked, obviously, because it's Dragon's Dogma, and you can include Dark Arisen in that. I think all of us played the Dark Arisen version. It's not really that common to see the original version floating around anymore.
Well, like, what are the physical copies like? I'm sure that it's almost impossible to buy a digital version of the original, but
yeah.
What about like the physical? Is it rare?
I haven't seen that many copies of the original version in the wild, and I mean, Dark Arisen is just like, it's so much better that people just tend to ignore the original. I mean, like the developers have even said that Dark Arisen was born out of a desire to create a complete version of the game.
Right. That makes sense.
So, yeah, I mean, you could probably still find it, but, I've not seen it.
Well, I took a pop on eBay, and looks like you can buy the original, just like, nope, even that's Dark Arisen. Okay.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, weird. Oh, there we go. Just regular Dragon's Dogma, the original version. $5.
Yeah.
Just sort of a rarity, more than anything else.
This was a game that, like, it's very interesting because it's pretty well received, but, like, so many people hadn't heard about it. It's kind of become a cult classic, mostly because everyone just forgot about it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is, like, when you start up, it's like, it's critically acclaimed. It's like, yeah, I've heard about Dragon's Dogma before. Like, I've heard about this game, and people have been like, it's so good. And then you don't hear anything else.
Yeah.
Like, people say it's so good, and then they never talk about it again.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it on here. It's just, it was out of our normal range.
Right.
But it's, it's a very good game that, like, it's got all this acclaim. It's got all these high scores. Nobody talks about it.
Nobody talks about it.
I think it suffers from coming out around about the same time as Skyrim.
Right. Let's see. So the original version was 2012. Dark Arisen was 2013.
Okay, yeah, so that would have been right around just Skyrim.
Skyrim came out in November of 2011, so that would have been just before.
Yeah. And I mean, hell, Oblivion is listed among their inspirations. Wow. I didn't know this. The original design document was created in 2002.
Wow.
Wow.
No, in 2000. Before the director created it before he worked on Devil May Cry 2. Jeez. Took him 8 years to get it pitched into production. It's kind of a weird one because it was made in Japan, and it's like a Japanese take on a Western RPG.
And you can feel it.
Yeah. It feels different. It does a few interesting things. One of the most innovative was the pawn system. And it's basically, it's a single player RPG, but you create a permanent party member called a pawn. It's an NPC, but you control their skills and their equipment and everything. And it's just, it's another party member. But you can also hire the pawns of other players. And obviously, if you're playing offline, you're going to get computer-generated ones. But if you play online, you can, for example, you can get pawns that your friends have made, which is the first time I played this, a friend and I were playing at the same time, and we kept swapping pawns because I had a really good archer, he had a really good mage. So that's one of the cool things about it. And you can hire up to 2 pawns. So you basically got a party of 4 characters. And one of the most notorious things about the game is that the pawns do not shut up.
They don't.
Like,
Dear God.
Yahtzee made a good point in his review. It's like, we could get a good view from on top of that tower. I know we could. Do you know how I know? Because I was just on that tower, and so were you.
One of my favorite ones is after you go to sleep in an inn, and you wake up, and then one of your pawns says, "This looks like a good place to rest." It's like you've literally just woken up in this inn.
I had a situation. I was wandering down by the water, and I'm just smashing boxes and looking for goodies down on the beach. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing down here. So I run up the beach. I start running up the hill. And then my pawn says something about the water, but as I'm running away, it's getting quieter, and I'm missing what my pawn is saying.
Right.
So I run back down to the beach and chill for a little bit, and they don't say anything other than their random babble. So I'm like, okay, I guess it wasn't important. Run up the beach and up the hill. They say the same exact thing, but I missed the last half of it because it got so quiet. So I run back down the beach, and I did that about 6 times before I finally caught what she was saying, and it was basically like, there's monsters at the water's edge. And it's like, thanks.
You can turn on subtitles for the pawns as well.
Yeah.
Oh, can you?
If
I think my
keep
subtitles
missing
were off.
the
So
dialogue.
I think my subtitles were off. So
They do constantly talk, like all the time. But this is going to sound really, really pathetic. It kind of felt like I had company.
Yeah.
During the game, like it was comforting for me.
like you had you had someone
them there.
like you had someone just chilling and being peanut gallery.
Yeah, just people basically having a chat, however inane that chatter might be.
Well, and it is kind of, and I get that too, because it's kind of nice to have NPCs, even if it's not useful information, like useful chatter, versus they only talk when they're talked to. Like when you walk up to someone, it's like, talk to them, and then they say something dumb and you walk away. That was all they said. Like if they're just making chit chat, because of course you're just going to make chit chat. You're not doing anything.
The problem comes in when they say the same line over and over and over
Right.
again. Goblins ill like fire. All roads lead to Grand Soren.
If they hate fire, they'll loathe this. Dire wolves. They're much smarter than common wolves. But some of what they say is actually useful.
Yeah.
And you just kind of tune out the rest. Really.
Well, and one of the great things about the pawn system is they can learn about quests. They can learn information about the quests that you do. So if your pawn goes out and works for somebody else and does quests beyond what you've done, they come back and have information about quests ready for you when you pick it up.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, so either your pawn or pawns that you've hired, if they have done a quest with another player, they will have information about the quest they can give you.
That's actually pretty wild.
Yeah. Like it's something I've not seen anyone else attempt. And it's like, why? This was such a good idea.
Yeah, no, honestly, I wanted to like the game because it had a lot of really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it just drowned me in the RPG nonsense that I don't like.
Yes.
Which ruined it because, like, combat felt fluid. Like, I want to talk about the fact that you can climb on these big monsters.
Yes.
That's so fucking cool.
It is so much fun. You climb up a Cyclops and go stab it in the eye a few times.
Yeah, you stab it in the back of the head, and it's swatting at you, trying to get you off of it.
You climb onto one of the smaller dragons, and you're just being dragged around.
When right in the beginning, when you fight the Hydra,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually kind of funny that you fight a Hydra. It's like, chop its head off. It's like, no. That's how you get more of them.
Not in this game.
You just climb up the back. The climbing can get really wonky, though.
It can.
Like, you can just, you can't move your camera around when you're climbing for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it'll move, and then suddenly you're climbing up and climbing down gets flipped around. Because it flipped on you, and that's that's annoying, but it's not unmanageable.
Yeah, something else that was mentioned in Yahtzee's video is the fact that sometimes when you're on a monster, you don't know which direction you need to push.
Yeah.
To like get up on top.
Because it has more to do with the position of the camera, not the position of your character.
Yeah. So it does get a little iffy in that regard.
But it's not. But again, it's not unmanageable. It's just you have to stop and go, wait a minute, this is the way I need to move.
Yeah.
And then it's absolutely fine. I climbed on somebody's cow and was hanging off the side of it, stabbing it to death because... Yeah, like the first thing I did after the intro sequence, the very first thing that I did is I picked my class,
mm-hmm.
and then I went apeshit on someone until they ran away.
And you can totally do that.
Yeah. And I don't know if they come back because in one of the loading sequences, it's just like being a nuisance won't accomplish anything more than getting people on your bad side than making you enemies. Yeah, it's like, oh, thanks. So of course I am a nuisance to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I never really kind of like had to deal with that because in RPGs and stuff, I'm like a really nice person. I can't be rude to people in RPGs.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I have to be nice to everyone.
I don't know. Knights of the Old Republic taught me how to be an asshole.
Yeah.
But we've had that conversation before.
I'm still upset about that moral choice system.
Yeah. Just how to be an absolute monster. So
yeah.
whenever I play a game that has a choice system like that, where it's like, oh, are you going to be bad or are you going to be good? I usually do a good playthrough, and until I get sick of it, and then I'll go and do a asshole playthrough.
Right.
But it kind of appears in Dragon's Dogma that there is being an asshole has absolutely no benefit. You get nothing from it.
Right. It's so Dragon's Dogma has a more it's a much more fluid system. Like, you can be a complete dick to one person and they will hate you, but everyone else won't.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like you're racking up bad karma.
Yeah. So there's that. It's a much more fluid system. It's a much, in my opinion, it's a more realistic system. And then there's also things like there's a relationship mechanic in there where you can actually have any character in the game be your beloved, your chosen person,
Your spouse.
except the pawns. So
Well, I mean, they clarify right at the beginning that the pawns are
not human.
They're not human, and they're void of what would make them human, like emotions and whatnot. They don't really have that a whole lot.
Yeah, so and that's a whole that's a whole discussion to be had. But there's so many people that are like, well, my main pawn is with me the whole time. I'm much more attached to that character than any of the NPCs. But yeah, I mean, you can have anyone in the game, any NPC can be your person. And it actually does play into the story once you get towards the end.
My beloved ended up actually being a pawn, technically, because it was Celine. And her story arc is like she was the pawn of this witch. And she's kind of like becoming human, after the death of the arisen that she was tied to. Which does end up being quite a major plot point that you can actually just miss by not doing her quest. So yeah, she basically was the one that ended up being my beloved, as it were. Yeah. I did not realize we were going to fuck in the end credits. I did not realize that.
Yeah, so the person that the game points you towards is the person who's set to marry the Duke. If you just let things happen, they tend to end up being your beloved, just because the quest puts you super high up on their scale. So you've got to a lot of people have said that you have to actually put effort into other people, because she ends up basically being the default if you don't try it, or if you don't spend enough time with anyone else.
Yeah, and I ended up looking up how to increase it with Celine, and giving her the ring was a big thing. Plus, I did 2 escort quests for her.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, if you just do the main quest, you're gonna end up with someone that you just did a lot of quests for. The thing I want to talk about the most is the story, because this story is bonkers, y'all.
Yeah.
It starts off bonkers.
Oh no, it gets so much better. Okay, so Ryan, how far did you get?
I didn't get particularly far, just because I was getting frustrated with just the piles of RPG-ness.
Right.
Oh no, I ended up running around a lot and then taking on a whole lot of quests that I didn't know how to do them.
Mm-hmm. So you said you fought the Hydra.
I did fight. I fought something else too, but definitely the Hydra was the one that I caught when it was just cut the head off. No, because I was like, this is not how this works.
Yeah. Did you get to the capital?
I think that's where I was coming up on.
Okay. So, and I mean, I'm guessing you don't particularly care about spoilers for this.
No, I mean, I spent $30 on the game. I'll probably come back around and finish it just kind of slowly.
Yeah. Well, so okay, I'm about to go over this story, and if someone doesn't want the spoilers, they need to skip ahead, because this is too wild to not talk about. So, when you start the game, you're not even playing as your character. You're playing as a knight named Savan, and you're going through this keep to find the dragon. You get to the dragon, the prologue ends, and you create your character. the dragon then attacks your village, steals your heart, and is like, "Come kill me if you want it back." And the dragon is supposed to like bring on the apocalypse and yada yada. So you end up going to the capital and meeting the Duke who killed the dragon 100 years ago and has been the Duke of this land ever since and hasn't aged. So you go through more stuff. Eventually, you go confront the dragon, and you get there, and the dragon's like, "All right, look, I'm gonna make you an offer you. Well, it's not an offer you can't refuse, but he basically makes you a deal. You can kill it, or you can sacrifice your beloved to replace the Duke as the ruler." And you find out that's exactly what the Duke did, that he didn't defeat the dragon, he just took his deal. So you kill the dragon, and then the world starts ending. Like a big hole opens up in the capital, and the Duke loses his immortality, and you get back and he's all like, "You son of a bitch, there's no way you beat that thing. You're just trying to take my job." So then you go down into the hole, and there's, strong monsters in there, and, all kind of stuff you can do. And then I think you open a portal. Yeah, you open a portal at the bottom and meet a being called the Seneschal. And the one that you meet is actually the knight you played as in the prologue. And they offer you a choice. You can either fight them or go back to Granzus and just, live in your village or whatever. If you fight the Seneschal and lose, you become the dragon. If you beat the Seneschal, you become the Seneschal, but you're like a spirit and you can't do anything in the actual world itself. And then once you do that, your character kills themselves to break the cycle, and you end up back on the world, except that I think it's like your pawn is in your body at that point.
No, the pawn is in their own body, but they've become human.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's wild, y'all.
Who wrote this shit? Hideo Kojima?
Right?
Yeah, it is definitely one of the more out there stories.
Yeah, and so there's an extra bit that you find out about at the end of the DLC content, where I'm not going to spoil too much because I know, Matt, you haven't gone in there yet. But basically, someone got to the dragon, he offered his deal, and they told the dragon to go fuck himself and refused to do either option.
Oh.
And that had, consequences.
Well, I just imagine they're like, no, I'm going to go do my own thing. And the dragon's like, wait, what?
You can't do that.
These aren't the rules. No, it's fine. I mean, you took my heart away, and now I'm basically immortal. All I have to do is get the heart. You're going to try to end the world, but, like, whatever. Yeah,
it's like, it's this endless cycle. And, you can drop out at any point, but there's consequences for everything.
See, that was the one thing in the prologue when I walked in, because I'm like, wow, they're really just throwing me right in this. I didn't even notice that, like, everyone was level 20.
Yeah.
And I'm rolling on in there, and it's like, oh, yeah, we have to go through here, fight some goblins. All right. Oh, there's the dragon. Like, yeah. And then we just walk right past him and go and fight a chimera.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, do we not fight the dragon? I thought the whole thing was we're supposed to kill the dragon.
Nah.
Because I immediately figured out that it was going to be like a once upon a time thing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the design of that chimera?
Yeah,
because that is as batshit crazy as a story. It is a lion with a goat on its back and a snake for a tail.
Yes.
But that's what the chimera looks like. I wanted to bring this up too. They went with very, very traditional fantasy designs,
Yes.
like with the actual mythological designs. When the Chimera came up and it actually had a goat on its back, and I'm like, wow, that's an actual Chimera.
Yeah.
And then the Cyclops. So the Cyclops in Greek mythology was originally postulated off of an elephant's skull.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the tusks of an elephant and a big eye where the nose normally would be, but they're like, oh, it's a giant eye socket.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So when you come across the Cyclops in the beginning of the game, it looks like you would imagine with the big tusks and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I really appreciate what they did.
Yeah, and I like that the Chimera, each animal does a different thing.
Mhm.
Like, the snake poisons you, the goat casts spells, the lion just will wreck your face.
Yeah, he'll just fuck you up. Oh my god.
They're really, really fun to actually fight.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
they look great.
And there's the 3 different types of dragons, the wyvern, the worm, and the drake. Fire, I think it's lightning, ice, and fire. And those are fun to fight. You just have to find them because they're hidden around the world.
Mhm.
Oh, I ran into one.
Yeah, it happens eventually.
Well, I mean, let me kind of like tell you a little bit about a quest that I did. Because you get quests on notice boards as well as from people.
Yes.
And I saw an escort quest there. So I thought, okay, I've done RPGs in the past. Escort quests are a bit shit, but we'll do it, get a bit of XP, and it's not going to take that long. Be fine. 2 hours later, I'm still on this escort quest because escort quests aren't messing about in this game.
No.
So I can see I'm kind of like nearing my destination. I had to escort Mercedes to the Shadow Fort, and I run into this dragon, which was not a good time. I think I was probably about level 20 or so at the time, and we were basically all just absolutely decimated. Luckily, I'd saved like not long before, so I went back to my old save. I thought, okay, we'll go around it this time. Went into kind of like this goblin camp, because goblins are a bit easier to deal with than dragon.
Right.
So we're clearing out the goblin camp. Then I see fire everywhere because the dragon has decided to join in. So died again. Third time around, I went the other way around the dragon. Finally got around it. Finally got to the Shadow Fort. And Mercedes was like, yeah, thanks. And then pisses off. Yeah, like, I've been escorting you for like 2.5 hours, and that's all I get. They don't even let me into the Shadow Fort because I'm not at the part of the quest where you can get into the Shadow Fort. So I'm like, you fucking arsehole. I have spent the best portion of my day getting you to this place, killed by several different dragon, well, no, one dragon several times, and all I get is kind of like a thumbs up, like, yeah, great. But do you want to know what the best part is? I fucking loved every second of it.
Yeah.
It is just, I love this game. Seriously, I love this game. It has gone into my top 5 games of all time.
Oh wow.
Seriously, like it has knocked Oblivion down a peg. It has knocked Symphony of the Night right off the top 5.
Oh wow.
Really?
It is. Yeah, it's like I just absolutely love this game. Let me give you a little bit of a background into my history with RPGs to kind of like tie into this. Like when I was a kid, I enjoyed a lot of RPGs. I played Miracle Warriors on the Master System, Ultima 4 on PC, a few other ones here and there. And once, say, like Doom came out and I got into that, I kind of started going for more like visceral games, and RPGs kind of fell by the wayside.
Right.
There were still like the occasional ones like Oblivion, popped up. I played World of Warcraft for 10 years, so there's that. But MMOs are kind of like a completely different beast to kind
it's
of
a whole
like.
different. It's a whole different animal.
So I did that, Final Fantasy 14, etc. It wasn't until this podcast when Stephen put Final Fantasy on the list, and I played that, and I think I enjoyed that more than any of like your other three. And that kind of like reignited my passion quite a bit for old school RPGs. So I started to get like more into them. So this game came along and I thought, okay, it's an RPG, looks decent. I'm probably going to enjoy this. So went into it completely blind, didn't know what I was walking into. And this kind of like, I mean, Final Fantasy kickstarted that love of RPGs again. This solidified it. This was just an amazing experience for me from start to finish. There's some jank. Of course there's some jank. Yeah. There's always going to be. But the gameplay of this, I mean, not so much the story. I mean, the story is actually crazy, but that is almost kind of like secondary to me for the gameplay. I played as a fighter, and Blitzstrike is fantastic.
Yep.
I love Blitzstrike. I love pulling it off. You basically just charge the enemy and ram them with your sword.
Yep.
And it is so satisfying to pull off. And the combat is just fantastic in this game. I've not really gone too much into other classes. I mean, I'm in New Game Plus at the minute, and I'm playing as a Strider, but not enjoying it as much. I haven't really dipped into Mage. My main pawn is a Mage because I wanted basically like a little pocket healer.
Yeah.
So she's Mage, although I have put her up to Sorcerer at the minute. So one of the pawns that I'm hiring, I'm also hiring a Mage that can heal, just so I've got that there.
Right.
But Fighter is what I kind of like mained throughout the entire game. And it is just, there are so many different moves that you can learn, and you can tailor like a set for each individual encounter almost. I mean, you can only change your skills in a city, but if you know what you're going into, you can say, okay, I'm going to come across this, and this. I kind of need these certain utilities to kind of like help me do that. And there are so many different ways even one class can play. And there are 9 classes.
Yeah.
So there is like so much variety in that combat.
So what I would recommend you try is the Mystic Knight.
Okay.
Because that one has a lot of really interesting things in it, and you can do some really cool stuff with the magic shields. And that, like, it still has some of the warrior stuff in there. See, when I played, I started as a fighter, but then went into the assassin class, so I could use, like, because when I play a lot of these games, I basically end up making Aragorn almost every time.
Found the Lord of the Rings nerd.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys weren't at my wedding, but there was a lot of Lord of the Rings. We had a reading we had a J.R.R. Tolkien poem read.
Oh, that's actually kind of dope.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, the class system is fantastic. How deep into the weapon upgrading system did you go?
Quite far, actually. I mean, just as kind of like an introduction to the weapon upgrade system, you get materials out in the world, and there is an armorer in the capital who can upgrade your weapon for certain, or all of your armor and weapons for a certain amount of these mats and some gold. So basically, I upgraded everything that I was able to upgrade, as far as I could go. And once you do the boss fight at the end, the worm boss fight, whatever you are wearing at that time becomes dragon forged.
Yes.
Which is like a level above that. And I know that in Bitter Black Isle, you can go a level above that.
Yes.
So yeah, I did go quite far into that system.
So like I don't remember what you said your time was, and I don't remember exactly what my time was, but I know my time the first playthrough was longer than yours because I went so deep into the weapon upgrading system. Like I was, like I had like pages and pages of notes on, upgrades to make and, things I could do with it. And I also did a whole lot in Bitter Black on my run. So that's also where a lot of the time went. But yeah, it's so intricate and so well done. Like this game is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, my playtime ended up being 32 hours, and I am now into New Game Plus. I wanted to save the DLC content for New Game Plus,
which is not a bad idea.
So that is what I plan to do now. I wanted to get to the end so that I could see like the story. So I thought, okay, I'll leave the DLC until the next playthrough. So at the moment, I'm just I think I've just got back to the capital. I mean, once you go into that, playing the story again when you're like level 50 odd, you can just like breeze through it like really, really fast. But
you will not breeze through Bitter Black. I can tell you.
No. Yeah. My plan is at the moment, I want to get Strider to the maximum vocation rank at the minute. And if there's nothing there that I'm enjoying more than the fighter, by the time I've fully leveled it up, I'm just going to go back to fighter and do a bit of Black Isle on that.
Right.
But yeah, it is. It's fantastic, basically. Yeah. The one thing we've not touched on is the animations for all the different fighting skills, all the different monsters, etc. The animations are fantastic.
Oh yeah,
the monsters as well. I mean, we mentioned the Chimera earlier on. The way that the goat kind of like flails around on the lion's back.
Yep.
And just bleats nonsense. I love that.
Well, like I said, like when you're climbing on the Cyclops and it's trying to swat you off, it's not just lumbering around going like, "Raw, I'm still attacking stuff." Like it'll shake and swat, and it's like it knows you're there.
Yeah, there is actually a trick you can do with the Cyclops as well. Some of them, well, most of them, wear a helmet protecting their eye. If you are on top of a Cyclops and they make a grab for you, and you dodge the grab, they'll
knock the helmet off.
Yeah, they'll accidentally grab the helmet and throw it off.
Oh, that's magnificent.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, the AI for the monsters is really solid.
Oh yeah.
They try and flank you and everything, and it's fun to fight different enemies because each group of enemies you fight in a different kind of way, and there's a lot of variety. I mean, there's not kind of like dozens and dozens and dozens of different enemy types, but the fact that you fight each one in a different way adds that kind of like variety to it.
Yeah.
The boss fight as well, the worm at the end, Grigori. That was a fantastic fight. That is like a multi-phase, just epic journey across the world.
That is such a good fight.
I mean, I really didn't have the best skill setup because I didn't have Skyward Slash on my set skills at that point. So I had no way to actually hit upwards, which when you're trying to kind of like hit the belly of a dragon to get to his heart, it's really, really difficult when you don't have a way to kind of like shoot up. But I did get through it in the end. It took a long time to do, and it was just such an epic boss fight. I think it must have taken me about 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
You're like flying on the back of it at one point, like crawling up its back. Another point, it's on a tower, and you're having to fight, like fling arrows and magic over it. Which basically, I just hid from it and let my pawns do like what they could do, because I couldn't hit it as a fighter.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I went into the assassin class, because I like like my main thing was running in with the sword, but I liked having the bow as an alternative.
Yeah.
But like this when I played it for this, I did the Strider with the intention to go into Magic Archer, just because I hadn't tried it yet.
Yeah, whereas the assassin is more focused on daggers with the option for bow, the Strider is more focused on bow with the option for daggers.
Yeah.
And the fighter is kind of like sword and shield. Although, to be perfectly honest with you, I kind of forgot that I had a shield. I just never used it.
That was one of the other reasons I switched to the assassin, because I didn't have to worry about the shield.
But like I thought to myself, like about halfway through, should I just go warrior and just not have to deal with the shield? But I loved blitz strikes so much that I thought I have to stick with a class that has that skill.
Mm-hmm. I don't know for certain, but you might still be able to use that with the Mystic Knight one, because I think you can still retain your fighter abilities with that class.
I'll have to give that a go.
But yeah, so one other thing I want to touch on quickly is the music. There were a few different composers that worked on this, and their previous work includes Monster Hunter, Okami, Sengoku Basura, and Dragon Age. Like, there were some pretty good composers working on this.
Let's say they're pretty accomplished.
Yeah. The music that comes up during the fights, that can really enhance the feeling that you get from those fights.
Oh yeah, especially the fights against the tougher single enemies. That music was fantastic in that. But I have to say, I found the rest of the music outside of that kind of forgettable.
I disagree. I thought the soundtrack overall in the game was very good, although occasional a little out of place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, oh, it's a high fantasy game, and then there's electric guitar.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. It just felt a little off, especially if you're used to playing stuff like Elder Scrolls and whatnot. And the music is much more appropriate.
Yeah, but the electric guitar does come when you're kind of like madly slashing at
Yeah, no, like that's what I'm saying.
enemy,
It's a little out of place, but it's not out of, like, I don't know. It's not fitting for the setting, but it's not out of character, if that makes any sense. Like, it's done correctly, even though it probably shouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah, it matches the actions that you're doing, even if it doesn't match thematically.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Because yeah, some of that battle music was just epic. There's like choirs going on, and yeah, you've got the guitar. But yeah, the music for the rest of it, I can't think in my head of any of that music over 32 hours that I played. I cannot remember that music in my head because I just found it really forgettable, which is a shame. I mean, Stephen, you were saying that you really like the main theme.
Yeah, I love the title music.
I really didn't. That really annoyed me, the title music. But yeah, I mean, if clearly like some talented people working on it, so I guess it's just kind of down to personal taste on that.
I thought it was pretty great, personally.
But yeah, so I mean, like, you know, I cannot recommend this game enough. It's, you know, it's great. It's on damn near everything now. They just released it on Switch last year, I think.
Mm-hmm. You can even pick up a physical copy if you want.
Yeah. Switch, PS4, Xbox One, Windows, PS3, 360. You know, tons of ways to play it. Yeah, it's just it's real good, y'all.
Real good.
I actually bought it twice because I picked it up initially on 360, and I have one of the early model 360s with a really, really loud fan.
Yeah.
And I could tell about an hour in, it's like this is a game that I can see myself going deep into, and I really don't want to deal with that fan. So I ended up buying a PS4 copy off eBay, and I did my full playthrough on that.
Yeah, I originally got it on 360. A friend of mine gave it to me. And then, I mean, I picked up the Xbox One version when it came out. And now I will probably end up getting it for Switch too.
I'm not going to buy it for Switch. I'm perfectly happy with my PS4 copy personally.
Yeah.
But as Steven said, like, thoroughly recommend this game. It suffered from coming out around about the same time as Skyrim, and Skyrim was this big cultural phenomenon, and this is a better game than Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like, way better.
I will also concur that it is a much better game than Skyrim.
Graphically, they're very similar.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and especially now, obviously, the one I was playing was the Xbox One release, and it's been slightly remastered, and mostly that's going to come out in just slightly higher textures and better lighting. And the lighting in the game, like I noticed immediately, was absolutely fantastic. Out of this world, good lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes a long, long way. The animations were a little clunky because obviously it's been up-res, but it's still using stuff from the 360. So the Halo 3 did the same thing where they just upped all the textures, but it still had like the really clunky motion. It looked really wet. It looked really bad.
Yeah.
Halo 3 looked really bad.
I don't know.
I
thought the animations were really fluid myself.
But the animations were better, so it didn't come off so bad, and the lighting's so good. The textures, it's a very pretty game, prettier than Skyrim, I dare say.
I mean, yeah.
So, certainly a more interesting world than Skyrim.
Oh, definitely.
Skyrim is just snow and a lot of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people with really, really stiff faces.
Yeah, I'm really bummed out because they made a sequel as an MMO called Dragon's Dogma Online, but it's only in Japan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Time to move to Japan then.
Which I believe they're actually cancelling now.
Yeah, I think they're killing it now.
They're canceling Japan?
No, they've announced that Dragon's Dogma Online is being shut down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just like
but there are very strong rumors about Dragon's Dogma 2.
Which, if it happens, I cannot wait.
Even though a lot of people kind of like rag on the pawn system, I kind of hope that they update it quite a bit. What I really want to see, I want to see the pawns having conversations with each other, not just telling me random scraps of information as I'm walking along. I want them to talk to each other. Have an actual conversation. I hope that they do something like that.
Yeah, like just like fleshing out that pawn system that no one else has tried to copy.
Yeah, no, it's super unique. And I would like that too, because like you said, a lot of them are just commenting on stuff in the environment. Oh,
yeah,
pawns. I wanted to say that really quick. I thought one of the really cool things the pawns did was just pick items up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have to see everything because the pawns would catch stuff too and just be like, oh, this is useful.
Yeah.
And obviously they would often have like a little quip about something being handy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to pick that up. And only once did I get mad because I saw a thing and ran up to it, and because I was running, my pawn was running, and he outran me and went, oh, this is cool.
Yoink.
Yeah, and he just yoinked it from me. I didn't even get to see what it was.
But the opposite of that is true as well, because sometimes, if you're going through like a dungeon and you're kind of like running low on inventory space. Well, not so much inventory space, but everything like has a weight, so you can be like heavy or encumbered, stuff like that. And you come across all these chests, and it's like you really want your pawn to pick that stuff up because you don't want to come get over encumbered. I mean, you can trade them gear, it's not a major problem. But if they pick it up in the first place, then you don't have to. And it's like I'm doing circles around this chest, like, please, pawn, see this chest. Pick the stuff up from the chest. And they'll just stand there, just staring into space.
Nice day for fishing, isn't it?
Not picking up the stuff that I want them to pick up. Speaking of pawns, it's just reminded me, actually. I just want to go back really quickly to that escort quest. When the game said that you can hire up to 2 pawns, I thought one of those was my main pawn.
Oh no!
So I did this escort quest with a party of 3 instead of a party of 4. One of them was Rook. Now, I didn't know this. Many people might not know this, but Rook can only go up to level 6.
Yeah.
Oh, that's stupid.
Your main pawn will level with you, but Rook can only go up to level 6. So this level 20 escort quest that I did, that took me 2.5 hours, was probably down to the fact that I had one less pawn than I should have done, and one of them was 14 levels below me.
Yeah.
So don't make the same mistake I did.
Yeah, you got to switch your pawns out regularly.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have anything else to say. I mean, we covered it pretty in depth. Y'all play this game.
I mean, I could talk about my experiences for hours, but yeah, it is absolutely something you should pick up if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put more time into this game, despite the RPG BS that I don't like, because I think I'll just kind of get used to it. Mm-hmm. Because I really do like everything else.
Yeah.
I was really scared for a second because it was Capcom and it popped up and it said Capcom, and I was thinking, oh shit, it's going to be Monster Hunter. I was genuinely scared for a second I was going to be dealing with Monster Hunter type stuff, like the way the controls are and just the mechanics of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely detest Monster Hunter. I hate that game. I hate that series.
Okay.
And it wasn't. So that was nice when I got into it, and it immediately wasn't just Monster Hunter.
I mean, I think one of the biggest things that we can say about this game is Adam hates RPGs with a passion, and he likes this game.
Yeah, and he said,
that
he likes this game. So, and I'm the new current resident, not an RPG guy, but even I can appreciate what was going on.
Yeah,
and that's we'll probably go back and at least sink a lot more time into it. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I'm going to sink a lot more time into it.
And I mean, that's the thing is, like, this RPG bullshit, like, that's what I live on. So
yeah, but just like a lot of the things, like when it's, oh man, I almost threw my controller. So right in the beginning, when you're first leaving the town, so like the game starts off with this prologue, and you're fighting, and it's giving you little tips on how to fight. And like, oh, attack the thing, and it's circling your little action center down in the bottom right, and it's like, okay, do the stuff, fight the things, figure it out. And I'm like, cool, it's just kind of throwing me into this. I can get behind this. Then I go out and I run down. It's like the little cutscene, the dude's getting attacked by goblins, and he's like, oh yeah, let's go save him. And Rook's like, we'll save you. So I immediately just start sprinting towards the Doom. I'm playing, I don't remember what the Strider, it's the Rogue.
Yeah.
And I just jump in. Like, I'm literally going to jump into the fight. I'm full sprint, leap into the air. Right before I start mashing my attack button, it pauses the game and brings up a little box that says, press X or Y to attack. And it just completely killed every last little bit of steam I had.
That's brutal.
It just, bink, do a thing. It's like, yeah, I already know. I killed a Chimera earlier. And then it just keeps popping up boxes. I understand that you're sort of in the Noob Island tutorial zone, but wow. That's a lot of little tip boxes that pop up and stop the game. If they were just kind of popping up in the corner and cycling through,
yeah,
that would have been, like, honestly, that would have changed my initial opinion of the game a lot, because it's like, yeah, we're telling you stuff that you might want to be reading, or you'll figure most of it out yourself because it's an RPG.
Well, and here's the thing, like, like we can say, these small things that they can correct, and where most of that correction happens is in sequels. So
Right.
Capcom,
Exactly.
It would be a day one purchase for me.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I mean, you did say it's now top 5.
I did not expect that. I didn't expect this to boot Symphony of the Night. That is surprising.
Yeah, it's even above Oblivion. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did, and like I say, it just solidified that like old love of RPGs for me. There are like 3 RPGs in my like top 5 now, so
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad I could help you. I'm glad I could start you on this quest to rediscover the glory of RPGs.
Really, Steven is the winner today. But yeah, no, I mean, I have a very mixed I have mixed feelings about the games, but I'm not going to say it's a bad game. I won't say it's a bad game. I won't do it.
It's definitely worth putting some more time in to see if you can crack through.
And I will, just for you.
Well, don't
Also,
feel special.
Also, because I spent $30 on the game.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
like,
gonna get $30 out of it at least.
yeah, maybe try a different class.
Maybe it's I was really tempted to run with a mage at first, but like generally speaking in RPGs, that's the harder class to get into.
I've seen videos of mages, and they get stupid damage. Like
Yeah,
it is bonkers.
That's
Holy
usually
crap.
that's usually how it goes.
Like the pawn I had at the end of my first playthrough from my friend, that was the sorcerer. He was just dropping dudes left and right. It was ridiculous.
I might readjust then and go back and switch up.
Because I mean, that's the thing, is you can recruit all warrior pawns and just have them be a meat shield while you just rain death.
Sounds more like what I'd like to do as it is anyway. So yeah, I'll probably do that because I'm not too deep in where it's not going to be the end of the world if I restart.
Yeah.
I'm not 20 hours into the game.
Well, you don't have to restart as soon as you get to the capital. As long as you have enough discipline, as long as you have like 1,000 discipline, which is like a passive currency that you gain as you level up and fight stuff,
Okay.
then you can change your vocation in the end.
Yeah, you can change
Okay.
class at any time.
Oh, that's actually kind of sweet. Okay. Things I hadn't got quite far enough for. The game is already gaining points.
Yeah.
Neat. Well, like you said, I think we've just about covered all there is to say. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and we have a giveaway winner to announce. And any closing thoughts? And yeah.
Okay.
Didn't we have some fun, though? Remember when the platform was sliding into the fire pit and I said goodbye, and you were like,
No way.
And then I was all, we pretended we were going to murder you.
that was great.
Well, we had a good lineup of games, and honestly, the 360 PlayStation 3 was a fantastic generation of consoles. It really was.
Absolutely.
And this is just the broadest sample of games that we could like reasonably cover because there's so many. Obviously, we didn't go into the Halo series where we got like ODST and Reach, which were fantastic games. There were so many RPGs that popped out on this game. I know one of them that was supposed to be a Final Fantasy killer, Lost Odyssey, I believe it was called.
I have that. I've never played it.
I've heard it's amazing. I mean, but again, I think it was free with Games with Gold a year ago or so. So I might give that a shot just because, I like to torture myself. But just a great generation. One of the best generations, even, I dare say.
Yeah,
And,
it was very good.
I know here in about a year it's going to become open season for retro topics. So we're going to be getting into that. And I'm honestly looking forward to it. The only other announcement I have is we do have a winner for our Skate or Die giveaway from last month. There we go. Time Warp. And our winner is a one Ricky Bryant. Will be contacting you to get shipment information, and congratulations on a relatively mediocre game.
Yeah, congratulations.
Hooray!
But unless somebody else has something else to say, then I think we're going to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodbye.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye, and tune in next time, and thank you for joining us on the Retro Odyssey.
I am a potato.
Memes, yo.